Happy Mercedes-ing. In this video I will be talking about the mechanical part of the Ke-Jetronic system. And before I start this video, I would like to greet Nermin, my official first Patreon member. And, my dear, please send him a big warm kiss. If you also want to be one of the members on the Patreon, I will leave you the link here. If any of my videos helped you repair your car, then please hit the button Thanks. If you, you, want to be the first one to watch my videos as they're fully uploaded, then become a supporter of the channel. And if you want to watch the service manuals, then become a donor. Thanks. Maybe I was talking about this topic, maybe not. I really don't know what I was talking about the KE. But I'm going to repeat this because I get constantly messages and I cannot reply people, I cannot tell them. Because, there are similar symptoms or even the same symptoms for different components on the system. Let's see first which are the components of the Ke-Jetronic, the mechanical ones. The mechanical part of the system consists of the fuel pump, filter, accumulator. On the system, you will see that they're connected with this part. Just like this. The airflow meter, the fuel distributor, fuel pressure regulator, fuel injector, electro-hydraulic actuator, rests like this, the rubber gasket, and the last but not least, the fuel pump filter, which is missing. It's located here on the fuel distributor on the feed line. Here, concerning the fuel pump filter, it's this one here. So, although it's tiny, it can mean a lot, because if it is clogged, then your system pressure is going to start dropping. You won't have a constant system pressure. Although your fuel pump can be good, although your fuel pressure regulator can be new, the issue can be this one. So replace it, and it is really, really cheap. And now, for the fuel, you have almost identical symptoms. That's like in language. When you say in English round, round can mean a round in a box as sport. It can be an adjective that something is in a shape of a ball, round. These words are being written the same way, R-O-U-N-D, round, but they have a different meaning. The same thing is with the KE. So the symptoms we have here are uneven idle, shaky engine, engine starts and stalls, poor engine dynamics, lack of power, and those symptoms are present on approximately 4 or 5 components of the system. And now, how can I know which one of them it is about? So that's the thing you must do. You must repair them, then you must eliminate them one by one. So that's why I'm making this video, to show you how it looks like when the mechanical part of the system fails. And because all these cars have not been maintained up to some 200k kilometers and more, then you must check all of them. And that's how it is. So sometimes I can help you, sometimes I really can't, because the symptoms are the same. So let's watch that video. Shall we?
The basic tool you will be needing is the pressure gauge, because without the gauge, no diagnosis of the mechanical part of the system is possible. The pressure gauge is being attached to the upper chamber of the fuel distributor in order to read the system pressure, and on the lower chamber in order to read the control pressure. The difference in two pressures has to be 0.4 bar. That pressure difference is called the differential pressure. The system pressure on the M102 and M103 engines is in the range between 5.5 and 5.7 bar. On the engines M104 and 117, between 6.3 and 6.5 bar. In order to check the pressures, the EHA is being unplugged.
In order to measure the pressures on the engine's M102, you must remove the fitting for the cold start valve, and there you fit the pressure gauge. Once you have remembered the value of your system pressure, now it's time to measure the control pressure. The control pressure is being measured here on this screw on the lower chamber of your fuel distributor. Here is step 1. And here, step 2. You attach the pressure gauge, you run the car again, and you read your pressure. And then you can see the differential pressure you need. Concerning the engines M103 and 104, you don't have to be removing anything. You can simply unscrew this screw, and here you can measure your system pressure. And as for the control pressure, it's being measured here. You unscrew this screw, and then the same way, then you read your control pressure.
The fuel pump relay removed, and the contacts 87 and 30 bridged so that the fuel pump can work constantly if the engine is not able to be started. After the pressures are measured, the car is stalled and the ignition is being turned off. Then the pressure must not drop under 2.5 bar. That pressure is called the residual pressure and must remain constant for half an hour. In case it drops to 0 immediately, then the culprit is the check valve on the pump.
Look, this is the check valve. So you can simply unscrew this one here. This is how it looks like, and find the suitable one for the pump. Here you simply screw it then in, you replace everything, and that's a solution how you don't have to buy the whole pump, because this one can be the culprit. It can fail and then make you issues. So replace this one, it's really inexpensive, and try then. If the issues persist, then replace the pump.
In case it drops to 0 in about 3 to 5 seconds, then the culprit is the fuel accumulator for sure. The fuel pump. The system pressure under 5.3 bar. Unscrew the feed line and measure the fuel flow for 1 minute.
So this is the line in. And in order to remove this line, you will need 2 spanners of 17. And with one of them, you hold here the filter, and with the second one, just like this, you then press. Then you unscrew counterclockwise, just like this. And with this one, you keep turning clockwise. So, as you remove this line, then you find a bottle like this. You will be needing this one to be clean, of course, and then you put this line here in this bottle, and you bridge the fuel pump to make it run constantly on ignition on. And then you measure the fuel flow. In 40 seconds, this kind of a bottle, 2-liter bottle, has to be approximately half full. Then you have the required fuel flow from the pump. And now on the example of another Mercedes, you will see how it looks like, how a brand new fuel pump delivers fuel. Just now. And it is the fuel flow in 30 seconds.
If the nominal value is not reached, then try at first replacing the check valve, and if that doesn't help, then replace the pump. If the fuel flow is within the nominal value and under condition that the fuel filter is replaced, then the culprit is the fuel pressure regulator. If the fuel pump doesn't deliver the required quantity, then the culprit is the fuel pump. In fact, it's check valve, which is replaceable and cheap. The symptoms of a bad fuel pump: hard, both cold as well as warm starts. Maybe the car won't start at all. Uneven idle, engine shaking, floating RPMs, lack of engine power in general, the engine shakes and stalls. The fuel accumulator. The symptoms. The car starts cold, but it won't start warm. Then, because the diaphragm inside of this part, it literally consists of a spring and here and one diaphragm. And when it's ruptured, then the pressure drops. So the residual pressure then drops to zero, and as it has to be built up, then you will have to crank the car, and the car starts from third or from fourth time of cranking for about 5 seconds, because the system needs the pressure to be built up. So this part is really expensive, but I mean really expensive. And it is being replaced each 150,000 kilometers. The fuel pressure regulator. The system pressure below 5.3 bar. If the system pressure is above 5.7 bar, then it's a bad fuel pressure regulator for sure. Then the car won't start at all. The symptoms of a bad fuel pressure regulator: hard both cold and warm starts. Maybe the engine doesn't start at all. Uneven fuel flow towards the injectors, which is unacceptable. Idle issues, floating RPM, engine shaking, bad engine dynamics. Sometimes the pressures equalize if the spring is stuck, and then the engine won't start at all. The fuel pressure regulator is being replaced. It cannot be repaired. The fuel filter. Simply replace it each 50k kilometers. In case you are not sure how much the car did with the old one, it won't harm at all. It can be cheap and a bit expensive, like Knechtmaler, for example. The symptoms of a clogged fuel filter. The same ones like the ones for the fuel pump, plus there is a danger that the paper inside is being ruptured and it will clog the fuel distributor. The paper may fly all over the place and the engine won't run normally, or it won't run at all. The fuel distributor. Checking the fuel distributor. The metal hoses leading to the injectors are being removed, and pump has to be running constantly, and the fuel must not flow from the fuel distributor if the plate is not being deflected. So, in order to check your fuel distributor after the cleaning, this is the first step you have to do. Start the fuel pump, and to do this. So here, none of the fuel must flow out of the flows. As you press here, now, here, that's it. If it does, try to decrease fuel flow on the CO screw, turning it counterclockwise. If nothing changes, then the fuel distributor has to be disassembled. It is also possible that if someone has done the overhaul, didn't remember the initial position of the sleeve. In fact, its distance from the nut and the one twisted it all the way in, or as much as he thought it should be. Then the plunger inside the fuel distributor is raised too much so that the plunger opened the fuel channels so that fuel flows towards the injectors more than required, and the car won't start. For those who have been repairing the fuel distributor, pay attention when disassembling the barrel so that the holes match, else fuel won't flow towards the injectors. If the differential pressure deviates from the nominal value more or less, then the problem lies either in the fuel distributor or in the EHA. At first, remove the metal screw leading from the lower chamber of the fuel distributor towards the fuel pressure regulator. Put some other on the fuel pressure regulator and block its other part. Run the fuel pump and measure the fuel flow from the fuel distributor. The nominal value is between 130 and 150 milliliters in 1 minute.
And just let me show you how it looks like on the example of M102 engines. This is that line we need. This is for M102 engines. This is for M103 and M104 engines.
If the nominal value is not reached, then the culprit is either the fuel distributor or the EHA. If it's the fuel distributor, then it's necessary to disassemble it. If the differential pressure is lower than 0.4 bar, the fuel flow from the fuel distributor has to be less than 130 milliliters, which means that the control pressure is above the value. Mixture leaner. It's possible that the filter inside the EHA is clogged, or the EHA itself is incorrectly adjusted. If the differential pressure is lower than 0.3 bar, the flow from the fuel distributor will be lower than 130 milliliters. Then the culprit is the fuel distributor for sure. In fact, it's channel in the lower chamber. Either the channel or the filter is clogged. Then the fuel distributor has to be disassembled in order to wash the channel. If the differential pressure is less than 0.3 bar or 0, and the fuel flow from the distributor is above 150 milliliters, then the problem is either in the fuel distributor or the EHA. At first, try to adjust the EHA or replace it with another one, and if there is no change in the fuel flow, then the diaphragm inside the fuel distributor is definitely ruptured, and in that case, no fuel will be able to flow towards the injectors. The fuel flow, which the fuel distributor has to deliver in 1 minute on the full load, is between 160 and 170 milliliters for 2-liter engines, and between 170 and 180 milliliters for 2.3 and 3-liter engines, whereby the difference between the cylinders must not be higher than 5%. 5% is the upper limit, 3% is the ideal value. If the difference lies above 5%, presents, the engine will have uneven idle. It's going to be shaking a lot. If that happens, the fuel distributor has to be disassembled and flushed. Afterwards, the fuel quantity has to be measured. Then the cylinder itself on the fuel distributor has to be readjusted. The reason for that can be dirt in the filters of the upper chamber, in the slots of the barrel, or in the injectors in the upper chamber of the fuel distributor. The injectors. The injectors are being replaced each 150 kilometers. They cannot be repaired or flushed. The symptoms of bad injectors: uneven idle, floating RPM, rich mixture, engine shaking, and black and sooty spark plugs. The airflow meter. Check if there is a gap between 1 and 3 millimeters by pressing it on the housing where the body is the narrowest, and thereby listen if there is scrubbing metal against metal, which must not happen. Otherwise, the plate has to be centered.
No scrubbings.
The rubber boot. If ruptured, the car won't start. It comes to vacuum leaks. The car starts and stalls the very moment because the air doesn't flow through the plate. It flows through the hole. The plate closes, and in the same time the plunger closes the fuel channels. In the fuel distributor,
No gasoline flowing out of the injectors. And concerning the rubber boot, there is one more thing when the car won't start at all. And that happens to those who drive their cars on LPG. It happens that the mixture is too lean. Then it comes to detonations. And when it does, here you have one plastic part, and here you have that U-shaped hose on M102 engines. And when it comes to detonations, then the detonation, then as it occurs, it simply removes the hose. And then the car won't start at all. And everything you have to do, there is one part that connects the idle control valve, and the second part connects here the rubber boot. You simply then put that hose up, you simply mount it back, and then the car will start for sure.
if those holes in the boot are not so big, the adjustment is possible. The symptoms: the engine shakes, uneven idle, floating RPMs, and sometimes the engine can go to limp mode. The EHA. The symptoms of a bad EHA: The differential pressure deviates from the nominal value more or less. If the differential pressure is lower than 0.4 bar and the fuel flow from the fuel distributor must be lower than 130 milliliters, which means leaner mixture. If the differential pressure is below 0.3 bar or equal to 0, and the fuel flow from the fuel distributor above 150 milliliters, then the culprit can be the EHA. At first, try to adjust the EHA.
The adjustment of the EHA is done the way you stick in the Allen 2 mils and then you turn it now for quarter of a turn clockwise. Then you get back everything, the crush washer and the nut, and again you measure the differential pressure. If nothing changes, then repeat the same process for a quarter of a turn, again clockwise of course, and then again see on the pressure gauge if anything happens. And for the third time, if then nothing happens, and you turn again for a quarter of a turn. If nothing changes and the difference between the two pressures lies again in the range of, let's say, 0.2 bar, then the EHA is shut and you need a new one.
The baffle plate inside the EHA is broken and the EHA makes constantly the mixture lean. In this case, no adjustment is possible and the EHA has to be replaced. No repair is possible. In any case, try to clean its filter. If that doesn't help, then the replacement is the only option.
So, if you liked this video,
please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified when we post new videos.
Then I would kindly ask you not to hit the button skip ad. That is going to help me a lot. And till some next one, happy Mercedes-ing. Bye.